Hi everyone. Our subject today is about none but the one and only Lucifer. Lucifer, yes. Uh, Known better as the devil or Satan or Shaitan in Arabic, and quite nominally Iblis in Arabic. Although Iblis is often compared to the devil in Christian theology and consented as the devil or Satan in Judaism, reputation nowadays still that he is an evildoer and consequently associated with hell or hellfire, and that he will vanish there as the general view. Islam rejects the idea that Satan is an opponent of God and the idea of struggle between God and the devil. Iblis might either be regarded as the most monotheist, as in verse 16 of Surah 59, which says, like the evil one, when he says to man, deny Allah, but when man denies Allah, the evil one says, I am free. He said so to mankind, I am free of you, which means nothing to do with that. He continues and say, I do fear Allah, the Lord of the world. It's very significant that he fears Allah, which means he believes in Allah. Now, it's a complexity, of course, and it's kind of confused. Let's go on. So either he's considered like the most monotheist, as this verse just told us, or the greatest sinner, as another verse, which is number 78:38, says, and my curse shall be on you till the day of judgment. God saying to Lucifer, and my curse shall be on you till the day of judgment, which is the most sinner that can ever be. But remains nevertheless a creature of God. Of course. Now, a creature of God who can express logic through intelligence, as in verse 22 of Surah 14, as if knowing that he can be forgiven anytime. In the back of his mind, he thinks he can be forgiven anytime, like the verse said, the verse 22 of Surah 14. It says, and Satan will say, when the matter is decided, okay, everything is over, kind of, or decided, rather, it was Allah who gave you a promise of truth. Satan is telling mankind, it was Allah who gave you a promise of truth. I promised to, Satan said to man, that I promised you, but Allah gave you the promise of truth. I promised you too, but I failed in my promise, which means I could not realize what I promised you. Okay? I failed in my promise to you. I had no authority over you except to call you. He's justifying the act to show that mankind has the choice to follow him or not. He said, I had no authority over you except to call you, to tempt you, to invite you to do wrong or something. But you listened. Lucifer is telling man, that, but you listen to me, okay? Then reproach me not. So don't blame me, but reproach your own souls, reproach yourself. I cannot listen to your cries, and nor can you listen to mine, which means you cannot help me, I cannot help you. Cannot support you, you cannot support me. Something like you're on your own and I'm on my own. I reject your former act in associating me with Allah. So after Lucifer seduced man, and man accepted the seduction, now Lucifer is taking a step back and telling man, "Oh, whatever you did associate with Allah, I reject. It's not my free choice. It's not my opinion," and so on. Because with an alibi that he specified, he said, for wrongdoers there must be a grievous penalty. He knows, he consciously knows that wrongdoers will be punished. Okay, uh, so according to the Quran, Iblis, actually, Iblis did not become an unbeliever due to his disobedience, which means he did not just and simply disobeyed Allah, okay? But because of attributing injustice to God, okay, that is by asserting that the command to prostrate before Adam was inappropriate, which means he judged himself superior to mankind when God asked him and all the angels and all the jinn or whatever to prostrate to Adam because he thinks of himself a better level, a better quality or whatever. Like in verse 33 of Surah 15, Iblis said, I am not one to prostrate myself to man, arrogant, whom you did create from sounding clay, from mud molded into shape. So the quality of man, according to Iblis, is lower than the quality of his creation, being created from fire, as the Quran and the story said. Now, according to the Quran, Iblis's obedience was due to his disdain for humanity. According to scholars, Iblis is a mere creature and thus cannot be the cause of creator of evil in the world. He is a tempted or a tempter who takes advantage of humanity's weaknesses. So he knows that human has weakness somewhere, so he takes advantage on this and tries to, solicit any human to do wrong, whatever. So he knows that human has weaknesses. He takes advantage of it, like weakness and self-centeredness, and because of that, he wanted to lead them away from God's path, as the verse 16, number 7, explained to us. It says, the verse 16, number 7 said, he, which means Iblis, he said, because you seduced me, talking to Allah, you seduced me, which explains that he's subjective. Okay, surely I will sit in wait against them on your straight path, which means I will be on any corner of their way for human beings to divert. So so it's like he's defying, as he was seduced, which means subjected in a way. He will consequently um, sit in the way of the right path for that leads to Allah for mankind. Arrogantly and defiantly, of course, he justified his reaction, like the verse said. The existence of evil has been created by God Himself. Let's admit it. Iblis only operates within the scope of God given framework, logic. Although the devil is present in some form in many religions and can be compared to some mythological gods, people of almost any religion, or even those who don't follow a religion, do conceive the devil as an almost always synonymous with bad and evil, with fear and punishment and immorality. Perhaps the most lasting images of the devil are associated with hell or hellfire. Finally, away from religions and theology, Iblis, Satan, or the devil is a concept facing and fighting the God and the truth, something that can only be weighed and measured in the human mind. Nobody can conceive this but the human mind. As if the devil is there, let's say, to fight with men over right and wrong. So the man must be conscious, okay? And we know that man has, I mean, in his conscience, there's a there's a good side and there's a bad side, which means there's one part pushing man to do good and one part pushing him to do wrong or whatever. Uh, so the person should opt for either good or bad when undertaking any issue, to choose to act, to say, or to position himself, bearing responsibility and consequences himself, which means for whatever he does and say, nobody bears responsibility but the person himself. Now, and actually, the devil did point to this issue exactly, bearing responsibility, in verse 22, Surah 14, the one that we cited before. I'm going to repeat it. It says, and Satan will say, the matter is decided. It was Allah who gave you a promise of truth. I promised true, but I failed in my promise to you. I had no authority over you except to call you, but you listened to me. Then, and this is the important part, then reproach me not, but reproach your own souls. I cannot listen to your cries, nor can you listen to mine. I reject your former act in associating me with Allah. For wrongdoers, there must be a grievous penalty. The devil knows that wrongdoers will be punished. So this is the fact that the devil, let's say, put the blame on man rather than on himself as men usually do. Now, very explicitly on top of this verse that I just read, God said in verse 79, in verse 79 of Surah 4, addressing Prophet Muhammad and all mankind. God said, whatever good happens to you is from Allah. So God wants only good things for man. But whatever of ill happens to you is from yourself. And we have sent you as a messenger to mankind, and Allah is sufficient. So bear in mind, mankind, that anything that turns bad on you is because of what you did or what you say, which is the truth, the logic, reasoning, and seeing this all together as the truth, the pure truth. Especially, especially that man, as we know, is free to do and say whatever he or she wants. Talking about free will, and we've been to this subject before. Thank you.